what you got in front of you, okay, is just the outline, policies, etc. We'll go through that fairly quickly today, and then we'll get right into the course material. So we'll start out with the most important stuff. The most important thing that you can do, the most valuable thing that you can do if you want to be successful in physics is to be here and not miss class. Okay? Obviously, for the last couple of years, our experience with how well we do when we're not here has shown that how well we do is not very good. Okay? So we want to be here, obviously, as much as possible. That said, people get sick. Okay? And you're going to miss days here and days there, and that's going to happen. Okay? Each day, I will post a recording of the class. Okay, I'm recording it right now. Okay, that's why that window is up right there. Okay, there's a microphone right here that's recording everything I say. It usually picks up, if you guys ask a question, it will usually pick up your question as well. Okay, but there's obviously no video component that shows my face, so you don't have to look at me if you're having to watch it. Okay, or anyone else's face, so you can't be identified, because I will post it on YouTube each day and then link it to Google Classroom. Right? So if you're homesick, okay, and you're well enough to watch what we did that day, that's what you should do. Right? Each day I'll post this recording in Google Classroom along with anything else that you need for that day. Okay? So if you're absent, that's your responsibility, is to watch that and stay caught up. Okay? All right, if we do a lab on a day you're missing, there'll also be a video for the lab. I usually have videos for the data, okay, where either you actually have to watch the video to get the data, or I just post data depending on the nature of the experiment. Okay, so it is possible for you to still be able to do that experiment even if you're not here. It's not ideal, but it's the next best thing. Okay. That said, you will be responsible for the lab report and any other stuff to do with an assignment, even if you're not here the day I assign it. Okay, it's still going to be due for you, same as everybody else, because I'll make it possible for you to do it. All right, lates. Please be on time. It's a real disruption if I'm having to go out and grab people from the hallway. That said, once the bell goes, the door will be in the closed position. Please stay on the other side of it. Okay? Don't knock. Don't make faces through the window. Okay? I'll see you, and I'll come get you when it's less of a disruption to what I'm doing. Okay? Now, if I haven't seen you and you've been out there for like 15 minutes, it would be appropriate to knock at that point. Okay? Unless you're late every day and I'm ignoring you. That might happen. Doesn't happen often, but it's happened. Okay? So please be on time, because you're going to miss stuff and it's a disruption if you are. Okay. Resources available to you. How many people got the email for the joining Google Classroom? Okay, I did send it out the other day, but okay, if you didn't get it, the join code is right here, okay, on the board, and you can join. You have to be part of the Google Classroom. All of the resources you need are there. Okay, and obviously posting everything we do there as well. So that is essential. It is also where you will submit a large portion of your coursework for marks. Okay, so you have to have that. Okay. I also have the YouTube channel, which I talked about a minute ago. It's not something you're likely going to have to visit because I'm going to link everything through Google Classroom anyway. Okay, but if you do go there, this is what it looks like. Okay, it's just a picture of the school. Okay, it says CoderreScience. You don't, like I say, you don't have to subscribe to it. Okay, I'm not monetizing or anything like that, so it's not going to help me feed my children or anything. Okay, and what you'll see is there's different playlists for the different units of the course. Right now, they actually have all the videos from last semester in them, okay, which I'll be, of course, taking out, and then I'll be putting in the ones from this semester as we go along. So if you ever have to navigate it that way, if Google Classroom is down or something like that, you can still get to the stuff that way. But like I said, you probably won't have to directly access this. You'll indirectly access it through Google Classroom most of the time. Okay, so on Google Classroom, okay, obviously everything we posted in the stream as we go, and lab reports, assignments, and things like that will be posted in the class work tab, and already in there are some of the things that you're going to need for the course. Okay, so there's one that is notes and worksheet packages. Okay, and you can see in there that they will have your name on them. Okay, this is my student account, so it says student Coder. Okay, but it'll have your name on it instead. Okay, so I've made a Google Doc for you for each unit. Okay, for the workbook for each unit, for the notes package for the course. Okay, that means that you can modify it. Do whatever you need, add to it, okay, put stuff in, whatever you need to do. Okay, so this is where kind of a choice for you comes into play. Okay, some people like to have paper notes. If that's the case, go home and print them. Okay, I wouldn't suggest printing them in color. Okay, if you do, you're going to have one of the like cartridge conniptions like Shaq. Okay, I don't know if you've seen like those commercials. Okay, but you'll run out of color ink. Okay, and that's expensive. So print it in black and white. You can always look at the color versions electronically. Okay, so if you like to have paper notes, go home and print them. Okay, and then have them with you each class. I also have people who do this whole thing on a tablet or a laptop. Okay, if that's you, that's totally fine as well. You've got the document open, you're typing in it, totally okay with that. Okay, some people do this on their phone. I don't know how because I'm getting old and I can't hold my phone far enough away for me to read it anymore. Okay, but for you guys with young eyes, maybe that's fine, and you want to add, modify your Google Doc on your phone as we go through in class. I'm okay with that too. Okay, I'm okay with your phone being out and you using it, as long as you're using it as a tool and not a toy. Okay, so be responsible with it. Okay, but I'm okay with that. At least this way, you can never come to class and go, oh no, I forgot my notes. Because I know you're never going to forget your phone. It's been my experience that that happens very, very rarely. Okay? So you'll always have access to it that way. My one suggestion would be that you make those files available offline. Actually download them to your phone because you guys have been going to school here for a year. You know how sketchy the Wi-Fi can be. Okay? So it's probably best to actually have it on your phone, okay, so that if something happens, you can actually access it. Okay? All right, so in the next, by Friday, make a decision on how you want to have that, okay, and make sure you have it with you for class each day. Okay, and then other important materials in there is the formula sheet. I'll give you guys all a copy of the formula sheet on paper, so you don't have to print that. I'll give you one of those, and then there's the course syllabus, which I gave you a paper copy of already, and that's what we're going to be going through. All right, so make sure you're using that, okay? I also have the board up here where I'll put due dates, but obviously those due dates will also always be in Google Classroom, okay? So they're available there. Okay, so if you use those resources, you should be able to stay caught up. Okay? If you know you're going to be away ahead of time, you can come and let me know ahead of time, okay? That's fine, but people sometimes come up and they have this expectation that I'm going to be able to tell them exactly what they're going to miss. Okay, like a few years back when we were used to, we could travel. Okay, and a person come up to me day one and they said, Mr. Coder, I'm going on a trip with my parents from December 1st to December 10th. And it was August 28th. And she's like, what will I miss? Stuff? I have no idea where we're going to be. I mean, I have a general idea. I could say we're going to be in the third unit, but what are we going to be talking about in the third unit? Circles or gravity? It'll be one or the other. I can't tell you that far ahead of time. Okay, but thanks for giving me the notice. But you can ask closer to the time, and my answer will probably just be, just make sure you keep checking Google Classroom. Okay, everything's going to be posted there. Okay, so check it as you go. All right, and make sure you stay caught up. Because the worst thing is when I have people, they take off, they're gone for 10 days, I find out they went on vacation, okay, and they come back and they've done nothing the whole 10 days, and then they're like, hey, Mr. Coder, what did I miss? And my answer is always the same, a lot. Okay, you haven't done your job. Okay, I've done my job, I taught all those 10 days. Okay, I taught the whole class, everyone except for you, okay, those 10 days. Okay. If you say, what did I miss? Can you catch me up? The answer is a lot and no. Okay? You need to go and do your part as the student. Now, if you come back after 10 days and you say to me, hey, Mr. Coder, I watched the recordings, so I understand centripetal acceleration, I understand centripetal force, but I'm having some trouble with universal gravitation. Can I get some help with that? 100%. Yep. Let's sit down. Let's go over universal gravitation. You did your part. you stayed as caught up as you could and you have questions. That's okay. Okay? That's what you should do, and then I'll help. Right? Everybody pretty clear on that? Okay, so that's the idea behind all of that. All right, behavioral norms. Okay, the big thing is respect. Okay, everyone in here should feel safe, included, welcome. Okay, they should feel like if they answer a question, people aren't going to chuckle at them. I mean, I know sometimes that happens because you answer something in the heat of the moment, and then you realize right after it comes out of your mouth, like, oh, shoot, that was really dumb. Okay, it happens. Okay, but like no one should ever feel ridiculed in a situation like that because it happens. It's not a big deal. Okay, everyone should feel like they can have that freedom to be themselves, to answer questions, talk, and all of that, express ideas. Okay, you know, be respectful of everyone's ideas, opinions, things like that. Okay. If you hear me say "listen up," that's my cue that I need your attention. Okay, so it could be "listen up. Today we're going over this." Listen up. We're going to the lab. Listen up. There's a mistake here, and we need to fix it. Listen up. The room is on fire. We have to go now. Like, you know. So if I say "listen up," I need your attention. Both eyes, both ears, free of earbuds, okay, full and undivided attention. All right, in this class there are two kinds of work. Okay, there's the kind of work that is for practice, for mastery of your skills and things like that. That would be the stuff that's in your workbooks. Okay, the practice problems, stuff like that. I'm not going to check that stuff. Okay, I'll have you working on it in class. You know, say, okay, today, you know, I've taught this stuff on you know, force of friction. Here's some problems to do with force of friction. Let's get working on those, and then you can ask me questions. We go through them as a class. That I'm not checking. Okay, I'm not going to do a homework check on it. It's never going to be assigned for marks. That's the stuff you need to do as a student to practice. Okay. The other kind of work is the stuff that does come in for marks: lab reports, assignments, okay, research projects, things like that. All right. Those obviously have to be fully completed and submitted. Okay, on the due date for marks. Okay, I never give make work stuff. Okay, like I never come to a class and go, man, I got so much to do. You guys just do this. Okay, and then I'm, you know, surfing the net and, you know, not doing my job. That's not going to happen. Okay, if I give you work to do, there's a reason for it. Okay, it's to help you with something, practice something, master something. Okay. So should do it all. Okay, come in, ask questions if there's something you don't understand. Okay, because you're responsible for how well you do. Okay, the more you put in, the more you'll get out. Now, that said, should you by some act of God achieve a mark of less than 50% on an exam, and that's pretty rare, okay, then you're going to have to come in and see me. Usually I have like some kind of like post-exam thing that I'll have you work on, usually with me, so that I can see where, you know, your gaps are and make sure that you understand the material. I can make a slight mark adjustment, but it's not going to be a rewrite. Okay, there aren't any rewrites. Okay, you don't get do-overs here. Okay? This is kind of the start of real life. Okay, you become a brain surgeon. Okay, and you go in and you haven't done your homework and you know, got the person's head open, cut the wrong thing. There's no do-over on that. Okay, you lobotomize that person. Okay, you know. The Artemis mission here, like they had a problem with the SLS the other day, right? They scrubbed the launch and they're going to launch again on Saturday. Okay? You don't get a do-over if that thing blows up. That's billions of dollars that are gone. Okay? There's no, oh, I forgot to check that thing and it blew up. Can I do it again? No. Okay? It's the same thing with your tests. I'm available for help basically every day. Okay? I haven't got my help schedule up yet, but I will have it up for Friday. Okay? And it'll tell you, you know, I'm here most days before school, most days after school, at lunch, and we now have this 20-minute kind of flexible time. Okay, it says scheduled help, but we're coming up with a better name. Okay, there's going to be lots of things you can do with that 20 minutes. Okay, you can go and ask teachers for help. So maybe you've got your lab report done and you want me to look it over. Okay, hop in here. It's 20 minutes, right? Like you've got to be somewhere, so come in and have me look it over. Or you got a question on the assignment we're working on. Come in, that's a good time to ask. It doesn't cost you your lunch hour, it doesn't cost you after school, you don't have to get up early. Okay? It's an awesome 20 minutes that you now have available to you. Okay, so you can come in and ask questions of any of us. Okay, you don't have to, it doesn't always have to be the class you're in after period 3. Okay, so you can just go wherever. So you can come in and ask questions, I'm available lots. So take advantage of that. Okay. All right. if you're not getting your work done, okay, I mean, you guys are 16, maybe 17 years old, okay, at this point, if you're not getting your work done, that only hurts you, okay? You know, you're getting older. I'll still call home because that's part of my job. You know, if I have to call home and say, little Johnny or little Janie is not getting their work done, and I need them to come in at lunch hour until they're caught up, okay, like, almost every single time I've made that phone call, the answer on the other end is, really? You want to help my kid do better and they're not doing their job? Okay, well, here's what I'll do to help. I'm going to take away the Xbox, I'm going to take away the phone, take away the car keys, and they're going to have 4 gray walls, and they're going to have bread and water until they're caught up at home, okay? So stay caught up, because that's not going to go well for you, right? So just stay caught up, and then we don't have to cross that bridge ever, okay? All right, 3.4, fairness versus equality. Okay, I understand that everybody comes here from a different place. Everybody's got different stuff going on in their life. Okay, and so I always try to take that into account when I make a decision regarding your academics or stuff in class. So I do my best to be fair, but that is not the same as equality. Okay, if I treat everybody exactly the same, that's not fair, okay? It might seem like it on the surface, but everybody's got different stuff going on, okay? So I try to be fair to everybody. If you ever think I haven't been fair, or you feel like I've given something to somebody I didn't give to you, remember, everybody comes from a different place. Everybody's got different stuff going on, and I'm doing my best to keep all of that kind of in my mind when I make decisions, okay? But feel free, if you need something, or you feel like I haven't been fair, you can call me on it, okay? I have no problem explaining myself, and if there's something I haven't noticed, I'm humble enough to admit it, okay? So don't be afraid to say something, okay, in that situation. And also, like if something's going on and you're needing something from me, you need an extension, or something like that, something happened, it never hurts to ask, okay? Like, I usually give enough time that there's not really a reason to need extensions, but stuff comes up. I get that. Don't be afraid to ask. The answer might be no. The answer might be yes. Okay, but it never hurts to ask. Okay, I'm never just gonna go get out of here. Okay? Like I would never be that disrespectful to you. Okay. All right. So try and keep that in mind. Okay. I always try to be fair and equal to everybody. Accountability, so high school is the start of real life, so we were talking about, being a rocket scientist or being a brain surgeon, okay, like, you got responsibilities, okay, and those are the responsibilities you're going to have as an adult. We're just trying to get you ready for that, okay. I give plenty of time for assignments to be completed, so there aren't a lot of excuses that I'll accept, okay. Like I had a guy one time came up, every time something was due came up, always had some reason why it wasn't done. And they were always garbage reasons, but he was totally honest with me. And like, I was binge watching the show, or I decided to go out with my friends. Okay, well, like, at least you're not lying to me and telling me honestly, but you're not going to get an extension if that's your reason. Okay, and I've had other times where people, who always have their stuff in, something happened, right? Something beyond their control happens. They come up like, this stuff went on, and it's like, jeez. I can't imagine even dealing with that myself. Like, all right, yeah, sure, you can have an extension. Okay, like, stuff comes up, we get it. All right, let's look at your coursework here. So assessment and evaluation. Okay, so the first thing is that I cannot, do not, will not discuss your mark with you in front of everybody else. Okay, so when I hand something back, I always go through it. Okay, so you should have a pretty good idea why you got the mark you got by the time we're done going over something. Okay, but if you don't, or you still have questions, please come up and see me like after class or in the flex time that we're gonna have, or lunch, or after school, or whatever. I'm totally okay with that. If you come up and say, Mr. Coderre, like, I know we went over this, I just don't understand why I didn't get a mark for this question. I feel like that's kind of what you showed. Could be a mistake on my part. That happens. Okay, come up and ask. If you're reasonable, I'm reasonable. Okay, you're like that guy that one time came up in front of 33 other people and slapped his assignment down on my desk and said, Coderre, that mark sucks. And you should have seen the eyes of the people in the class. And for me, it was like, yep, sure does. Sit down. You think I'm going to do something for you when you approach me like that? This is my house, I get to win here. Okay? So yeah, come up, be reasonable, I'm totally reasonable. There's lots of times, you know, if I'm marking something in a hurry, maybe I don't add it out. It could be something simple like that, like, yeah, for sure, come up and ask. Okay? All right, so your marks will be distributed according to the syllabus. We'll go through that here in a minute. Assignments and labs are to be handed in on time. So for the bulk of your stuff, if it's coming in on like Google Classroom, so you're submitting it electronically, 8:30 a.m. Okay? If there's a couple of things that have to be handed in on paper, if that's the case, right away at the start of class. Okay, is when I'm going to want. Those are the times that things will be accepted for full marks. If they're not submitted at that time, okay, then there's a 30% late penalty. That 30% is immediate. Okay? It has to be handed in either at 8:30 for electronic stuff or at the start of class for stuff on paper. Okay? After that, it's late, it's 30% off. Okay? Here's why. You will always get your stuff back from me the next day. Sometimes the same day, but always by the next day. Okay? If you've been in my Science 10 class, you know that's true. Okay? It's always the next day. Okay? I have only failed in that once in 23 years of teaching. It was the day that my son Luke was born. Okay? I chose to hold my wife's hand while she squeezed out a kid instead of marking labs. I stand by that decision. Okay? It was the right decision. Okay? I had them ready the day after. Okay? But I'm going to always turn them around the next day. Okay? So, if I can turn around, I have 2 sections of physics. I'm turning around 60 labs in one night. Okay? You can sure get 1 lab done in like 4 days. Okay? So that's the expectation. The other thing is, like, I hand it back, I go over it. Okay? I go over the whole thing. You sit there, copy it all down, and hand it to me. How do you deserve 100%? Okay? So there's reasons for that. It's 30%. Okay? I'm not the teacher that goes, well, it's 10% a day. I am not keeping track of how many days late something is. Okay? That implies that there's different degrees of late. I think late is like alive or dead. You're either on time or you're late. You're one or the other. Okay? There aren't varying degrees of it. Okay? So if it's 10 minutes late, 10 days late, 10 weeks late, please don't make it 10 weeks. Okay? It's 30% off. All right. Oh, I don't know why that's on there twice. Is it on there twice on your sheet? That's a bit of a screw up. Forgot to delete that paragraph. I changed it. I forgot to delete it. Okay. So in Physics 20, there are 4 units. Okay. The first unit is kinematics. Kinematics is the study of simple motion. A lot of it's going to be review. And then we build on that. So there'll be like V equals d over t. Okay, velocity is displacement over time. There'll be position versus time graphs, velocity versus time graphs. We talk about acceleration. Okay, those things. Those are the things that are kind of reviewed. But we build on them. In Science 10, everything we did was forward and backward. Okay, that's what we call one-dimensional motion. Okay, so you really had stuff that was either positive or negative. In Physics 20, we deal with two-dimensional motion. That means trigonometry is going to come into play. Okay, when we do our vector stuff, okay, there's going to be trigonometry. There's going to be this many degrees west of north. Okay, there's going to be, you know, X many degrees below the horizontal, or whatever. Okay, there's going to be some trigonometry. There's going to be vector addition. Okay, and so if trigonometry is not your thing, know that half the course is trigonometry dependent. Okay, just so you can make an informed decision. Okay, trig's not that hard. All we have to do is SOHCAHTOA stuff. Like, it's pretty straightforward, but I know some people are like, they have this block for it. Okay, the first 2 units are highly dependent on trigonometry. And then after we do vectors, then we talk about projectile motion, which is the launching of objects, okay, and how they travel and things like that. So the first unit usually takes us up to about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving's kind of early this year, so it's probably going to be like the week after. Okay, that we'll finish up this first unit. Second unit is dynamics. Dynamics looks at the same motion as the kinematics unit, but it does so not for the motion itself, but for the forces and energy that cause the motion. So we look at it in a different way. Okay, so we look at like Newton's laws, we look at work energy theorem, which is something you did in Science 10. We look at the law of conservation of energy, which is also something you did in Science 10. Okay, so there's some review in that unit as well. That unit usually takes us close to the middle of November, somewhere. Okay. Third unit is circular motion and gravitation. It's usually the shortest of the units, usually the easiest of the units as well. Okay, it usually takes us up to like the second week of December. Okay, it's only like about 3 weeks or so. Okay, in there we go over why circular motion occurs. We look at how gravity can act as a centrifugal force. We look at the nature of gravitation, why things move towards each other. Okay, stuff like that. And then our last unit is simple harmonic motion and mechanical waves. Okay, and it will go from middle of December until the end of the semester, okay, in mid-January. It's also a fairly straightforward unit. There's no trigonometry in it. There's no trigonometry in unit 3 either. Okay, but yeah, it's a longer unit, but it's nothing like super complex. Okay, we just look at like oscillating motions, like a pendulum or like a teeter-totter. Okay, a mass on a spring. Okay, and then we go into waves. How do waves work? How do sound waves work? Earthquakes, stuff like that. Okay. All right. Questions on the material? Okay. So your marks distribution is as follows. Okay. Your unit exams. Okay. There are 4 of them. Are 45% of your final mark. Okay. Your labs, assignments, and projects, the classwork. Okay. The stuff you're handing in to me is 20% of your final mark. Okay, we haven't talked about quizzes yet, but they'll be 10% of your final mark. And your final exam is 25% of your final mark. Okay, so yes, the exams are weighted fairly heavily, okay, in this course because, well, we're moving towards how grade 12 is going to be. Okay, grade 12, that final exam, you may have a final exam in the class and a 30% diploma. Okay, so we're easing you towards that. All right, quizzes. In this class, you might want to write this down because it actually isn't on your syllabus, but it's important. Okay. In my class, quizzes work like this. Unless you're told otherwise, there will be a quiz every Tuesday and every Thursday. They're short, 5-10 minutes tops. Okay? And they're always on the last few days worth of material. Okay? Monday at 3:30, Wednesday at 3:30, I post a practice quiz. If you took my Science 10 class, you know that sometimes the practice quiz is actually the quiz. Sometimes it works out that way. So it's always in your best interest to do the practice quiz, okay? Because even if it isn't exactly the quiz, it's going to be pretty darn close to the actual quiz. So it's a good way to start, okay? Most of the time, people come in, write the quiz, and they have any trouble with it because they've done the practice quiz the night before. Okay? Now, quizzes are not worth very much. Okay? 10%. You got 2 a week over the entire semester. Okay? If you're doing the math, that means like each quiz is like less than 1/4 of 1% of your final mark. So if you do poorly on one, it's not a big deal. Okay? If you do poorly on all of them, well, that'll add up to 10%. But each individual one's not a big deal. They're more of a review tool. Okay? If you do poorly on one, then you know, okay, this is something I need to work on. Or come and see Mr. CoderreScience for help, okay, or something like that. It tells me, all right, the whole class did really well on that quiz. We're ready to move on. The class didn't do so well on that quiz. Maybe we need to spend another day on that. Okay? That's what they're for. Okay? They're not really going to tell you, oh, this is what I'm going to get on the final exam. That the quiz is not going to tell you that. Okay? They're just a review tool. That's why they're not worth very much. All right. Things you will need for this class. Okay? In whatever form you're going to use the notes package, have that. That's your textbook. Okay? There is a textbook for this course, but I don't even know if we have any more in the library. They asked us about it a year ago, and we said we never used it. Okay? So that's your textbook. And it's what I'll have on the board and go through when I'm teaching you stuff. So make sure you have the notes package. Okay, the workbook package. I'll always have the questions we're working on the board, but not everything always fits on the board, right? So if you get past where I'm at, you'll want to have those available on your phone to look at or on paper to look at. You need, at the very least, a scientific calculator, okay? At the very least. If you have your graphing calculator from math in grade 10, that's great, okay? But you don't need to go out and drop a ton of money on your calculator, okay? Like, I got these ones last year from Walmart for $12. They'll do everything you need for this course, okay? As long as you can, as long as they're scientific, you can do trig on them, exponents, they're good, okay? So you don't have to go out and drop a ton of money on a calculator if you don't have it, don't need it for math, okay? This will. Okay, pencils and paper. Okay, that's what you need. You don't need rulers, protractors, compasses, anything like that. Okay, pen and paper, pencil and paper, okay, the notes package and calculator. I will give you a formula sheet, okay, and I'll give you one. And if you lose it, there'll be a few extras up front, okay, but when those are gone, it's posted on Google Classroom. You can print it yours. Okay. In terms of your phones, obviously, as I said before, I'm okay with the phones being out, okay? I'm gonna trust you guys are old enough to be responsible, use it for a tool and not a toy, and everything's fine, okay? If it's a big distraction, then I'm probably gonna give you a paper copy of the notes and take your phone away, okay? I don't wanna have to do that, you guys are mature enough to get past that, okay? Can you eat and drink in here? Yes, you can, okay? Just if you make a mess, make sure you clean it up, okay? Nearest bathrooms, if you need a bathroom break, okay? You guys know the girls' bathrooms are here, the boys' bathroom is just a little bit further down. Please try and use the ones that are closest, okay? Rather than taking the grand tour, okay, and being gone for half an hour. If you need a break, I get it, sometimes you just need to take a little walk, that's fine, just ask, okay? I mean, I might say, can you wait like 2 minutes, let me get through this thing before you do that, okay? But if you absolutely have to, I'm okay with that. I mean, everybody processes different, sometimes you just need a break, that's okay. Can I listen to music in here? At times, yes, okay? If I'm talking and teaching, no. But if you're doing seat work, working on some problems, something like that, sure. If we're doing a lab, no. Okay, you need to be, need to have your full undivided attention for that. So, use your judgment. Okay? But if I'm talking, I shouldn't see one bud dangling out of your ear. Okay? Fire exits. Okay, nearest fire exit for this room is actually out the languages wing here. So we would go left out this door, right at the stairs, walk past the stairs and go out that door that goes to the back parking lot. Okay, and we would meet in the back parking lot. That's emergency exit number 1. Okay, our secondary fire exit is actually the main doors at the front of the school. Okay, so if that exit is blocked, we'll go out the front doors of the school and meet in the main parking lot. Okay, our tertiary fire exit, if that way is blocked, is to go out these doors. Okay, the reason that that's the last resort is because it has to take out 8 other classrooms before us. So we'd be in the building a lot longer if we had to use that one, but that's our last resort, and we go to the back parking lot. Okay, if all of those are blocked, I'll throw a desk through the window. I get to throw the desk. Okay, but that would be the last resort. Okay. Questions from you guys? Anything I forgot? Okay. Then let's get on to the course material. Okay, I'll give you a couple minutes here. I'm just going to get this video put up, and then we'll get started on the course material. So you can pull out your phones, get the notes package for Unit 1. We're ready to go.